If we're discussing what we've coined post-capitalistic ideologies of socialism, communism, and anarchism, we have to ask ourselves, what about these ideologies are so appealing? And then we'll talk about why they might be unappealing for certain populations of the world. But we cannot deny that these ideologies have been incredibly appealing for millions and millions of people, both in the past and in the present. So what about them is so appealing? Well, as we discussed, socialism and communism are liberating through seizing power of the hierarchy, right? Through seizing state power. Anarchism is liberating through eliminating state power, eliminating power dynamics, eliminating hierarchy. Both of these are ideologies of liberation. And if you are in an oppressed population, that's what you're seeking, right? Each of these begin with deprecations of capitalism, deprecations of previous ideologies, which every liberating ideology does, right? It must begin with demonstrating how terrible the current ideology is. So if you're living in a population where you are exploited, and these ideologies provide you with explanation for how your current state of affairs is wrong, unjust, and so on, and provide you with a vision of the future of how to liberate yourself, how to be liberated from this repressive existence, that is appealing. Clearly, I think that's easy to understand. That's common sense. So we often, I think, at least in the United States, ask ourselves, we've seen the terrible real-world implementations of these ideologies. Why do so many people, why are they so quick to adopt them? Why is it so easy for these ideologies to spread? Well, if you live in a population that is being oppressed, especially oppressed by a capitalist mode of production, and you're in the working class, these are incredibly appealing. So let's ask ourselves, what is it about modern, we'll specifically talk about America in this case, what is it about modern American society that makes these so unappealing? First off, they contradict the dominant ideology of the United States. And if we've learned anything about ideologies, we know that ideologies that contradict the dominant ideology are often dealt with in certain ways. The knowledge of those ideologies are subjugated, they're stigmatized to prevent people from adopting them, or at least prevent them from talking about them openly in public, to prevent them from gaining wide-scale appeal and adoption. So stigmatization is key. We are socialized in American society in a way that is obviously the opposite of these ideologies. We're obviously socialized into capitalism and individualism. And in fact, this concept of the American dream plays a big role, right? Anyone, if they work hard enough, can pull themselves up by their bootstrap and go from the very bottom of society to the top of society. And as long as you believe that narrative, that ethically constituted story, then you're less likely to view these post-capitalistic ideologies as appealing. So we're socialized into the dominant ideology of American society. Every society, the citizens of every society are socialized into the dominant ideology of their society. And these post-capitalistic ideologies are in direct contradiction to the dominant ideologies of modern American society. That's why most people in America, as an example, most people in what we might call advanced societies, have a negative view of these alternate ideologies, because we're socialized from day one of our lives through living our life from all of the agents of socialization, from family to education to the media and so on, to believe that these ideologies are wrong, that they are unjust, that they are false, that they are illusions, that they are utopic, perhaps even, and that capitalism is the real, logical, only way for societies to exist in a rational way that is fair for everyone. So if we're going to critically analyze why we think the way that we do, why we adopt the ways of thinking and the worldviews that we have to be willing to analyze the ways in which we've come to adopt certain ways of thinking and the ways that we view other ways of thinking and why we think in those ways. So We usually in America have this capitalistic, individualistic ideology, and we promote that amongst each other and in our society in general, and we stigmatize any alternate ideology that contradicts those very fundamental beliefs.